5 minutes ago, history cracked wide open. In a move no one saw coming, Princess Anne made a decision so unprecedented, so defiant, that it sent shockwaves through every corridor of royal power. For the first time in modern history, Queen Camilla has been banned from Royal Ascot. No warning, no negotiation, just a cold final decree. And what triggered it may reveal a fracture inside the monarchy far deeper than anyone imagined. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. The announcement did not arrive with ceremony. It arrived like a blade. One short communication passed through official channels with icy precision, and suddenly the palace machinery, usually so controlled, so disciplined, fell into visible disarray. Calls were placed and not returned. Advisors scrambled to confirm what they were reading. Senior aides who had spent decades navigating royal tension were left stunned into silence. This was not a scheduling adjustment. This was not a polite reshuffle. This was a ban, deliberate and unmistakable, issued by Princess Anne herself. Royal Ascot is not just another engagement on the calendar. It is a living symbol of royal continuity, one of the most prestigious events tied directly to the sovereign's public authority. To be seen there is to be affirmed. To be absent, especially by force, is to feel the tremor of exclusion ripple across the institution. And that is precisely why this decision struck so hard. Because Ascot is tradition. It is visibility. It is hierarchy on display. And now, that hierarchy has been disrupted. Inside the palace, disbelief turned quickly into tension. Few ever imagined that Princess Anne, known for her discipline and unwavering loyalty to the crown, would confront Queen Camilla in such a public and irreversible manner. Anne has always been measured, controlled, allergic to spectacle. Yet this was spectacle of the highest order. Not loud, not theatrical, but devastating in its quiet finality. Courtiers whispered one question under their breath. What pushed her to this point? The answer, according to insiders, is as personal as it is political. This was not a procedural ruling buried in paperwork. It was intentional. It was pointed. It carried weight beyond a single event. For months, subtle disagreements had been brewing beneath the surface over protocol, over positioning, over influence. Small tensions that once seemed manageable began stacking quietly, one upon another, until the pressure could no longer be contained. And when that pressure broke, it broke at Ascot. The monarchy's carefully curated image united. Immovable, serene now feels fragile, because when a senior royal bans a reigning queen from one of the crown's most sacred traditions, it signals something deeper than disagreement. It signals fracture. And while the public sees only the headline, those within the institution understand the gravity. This was not emotion. This was calculation. King Charles, according to those closest to him, was stunned. Not furious, not explosive. Stunned, caught between instinct and obligation. He knows the symbolic damage. He understands the message it sends. Yet even in his reported restraint, there is conflict, because this is not merely a clash of personalities. It is a clash of power, loyalty, and legacy. And the silence from his office speaks louder than any denial could. What makes this moment even more unsettling is the realization that such a decision does not emerge overnight. It is forged in private tension, in conversations never meant for public ears, in grievances carefully swallowed until swallowing becomes impossible. And that is why this story cannot be dismissed as sudden rebellion. Because beneath the shock lies a deeper truth, one that suggests this wasn't a spontaneous act of defiance at all, but the inevitable eruption of something far older and far more dangerous. But this wasn't a spontaneous act of rebellion, it was the culmination of a silent war that had been brewing behind palace doors for far longer than anyone realized. For years they stood side by side in public, composed, cordial, immovable. But behind the polished smiles and choreographed appearances, something darker simmered. Princess Anne and Queen Camilla were never allies. They were rivals forced into proximity. And insiders now suggest that Royal Ascot was merely the battlefield where a long-standing, deeply personal conflict finally detonated in full view of the world. To the public, their interactions seemed restrained, even respectful. Two senior women bound by duty, united under the same crown. But proximity does not guarantee loyalty. And in this case, it may have intensified resentment. Princess Anne has always embodied discipline carved from stone. Tradition is not a suggestion to her, it is law, inherited and protected without compromise. She has spent decades safeguarding protocol, ensuring that every ceremony, every appearance, every unspoken rule remained intact. In her world, deviation is weakness. Camilla, on the other hand, rose not through rigid adherence but through adaptation. She learned to navigate storms. She understood optics. She expanded her presence carefully, then confidently, stepping deeper into ceremonial roles once considered untouchable. With each new engagement, each new responsibility, her influence grew. To some, it was evolution. To Anne, it may have felt like erosion. The tension did not erupt overnight. It built in quiet moments, the reshuffling of seating orders, the subtle adjustments in precedents, the quiet expansion of Camilla's advisory circle. Small things, harmless on paper. But in royal dynamics, symbolism is everything. A single step forward by one can feel like displacement to another. And Princess Anne, long regarded as the monarchy's unshakable guardian of order, does not overlook symbolic shifts. There were whispers of past exclusions, invitations adjusted at the last minute, committees formed without full consultation, courtiers choosing language carefully when navigating between the two households. None of it explosive, none of it public, but each instance left residue. And residue, over time, becomes weight. The recent disagreement over Royal Ascot's guest list authority was, according to insiders, the spark near dry timber. Ascot is not merely social, it is institutional. Control over who attends, who rides, who stands beside the monarch is a matter of hierarchy and legacy. When Camilla's office reportedly sought expanded discretion over invitations, it crossed into territory Anne has historically overseen. To some, it was administrative efficiency. To Anne, it was a line drawn too close to sacred ground. What makes this conflict even more volatile is Anne's quiet network of loyalty within senior staff. She does not operate loudly. She operates firmly. Decades of consistency have earned her trust among those who value structure over spectacle. That support does not manifest in public applause, it manifests in alignment, in silent agreement, in doors that open without resistance. And when she acts, she does not act alone. Beneath the political friction lies something more emotional. Legacy. Loyalty. Memory. Anne's devotion to the traditions upheld by the late Queen runs deep, almost personal. To her, preserving certain boundaries is not about ego, it is about honoring continuity. Camilla's growing ceremonial presence may have felt less like partnership and more like revision. And revision, in royal history, is rarely welcomed without resistance. So when the ban came, it was not merely administrative. It was the visible crack formed by years of restrained disagreement. A conflict of philosophies. A struggle between preservation and adaptation. Between inherited duty and hard-won authority. And if Royal Ascot was the stage where it finally erupted, then the confrontation that preceded it must have carried far more intensity than anyone outside the palace walls has yet understood. And if Ascot was the breaking point, then the real question becomes what happened behind closed doors that forced Anne's hand so decisively. Sources close to the palace describe a meeting tense, direct, and unforgettable. No aides, no mediators, just Princess Anne and Camilla in a private confrontation that insiders say rewrote the rules. Voices were raised, accusations were implied, and when the meeting ended, one woman walked away knowing that Royal Ascot would never look the same again. It happened quietly, away from ceremonial halls and public smiles. There was no grand announcement, no formal agenda circulated in advance. Just a request for a private discussion that carried an unmistakable weight. By that point, the disagreement over Royal Ascot traditions had already hardened into something sharper. What had begun as a dispute over guest authority and ceremonial roles had evolved into a deeper argument about ownership, who safeguards legacy, and who reshapes it. Anne entered that meeting not as a sister to the king, not merely as a senior royal, but as a guardian of precedent. For her, Ascot is not flexible. It is rooted in centuries of unspoken understanding. The carriage procession, the hierarchy of invitations, the symbolism attached to every presence, it is choreography that reflects continuity. And continuity, in Anne's view, is sacred. She reportedly laid out historical references with precision, invoking decades of protocol and reminding Camilla that certain lines are not ornamental, they are structural. Camilla did not retreat. As queen, she asserted her standing firmly. Her influence has grown steadily, and she has embraced her role with increasing confidence. To her, expanding involvement in Ascot planning may have felt not like intrusion, but evolution. She has endured years of scrutiny, fought for legitimacy, and now stands beside the king as his chosen partner. In that room, she is said to have made one thing clear. Her position is not symbolic, it carries authority. What transformed the exchange from tense to combustible were the emotional undercurrents beneath the procedural language. Anne reportedly invoked loyalty to the late queen, reminding Camilla of traditions upheld without compromise. That reference was not casual. It was personal. It implied continuity tied not just to rules, but to memory. To sacrifice structure, in Anne's view, was to weaken what had been entrusted to them. The air in that room shifted from disagreement to confrontation. At one point, according to those familiar with the exchange, Anne delivered a sentence that sealed the moment. "This line will not be crossed." It was not shouted. It did not need to be. The weight of it carried finality. For Camilla, that statement was more than resistance, it was a boundary drawn publicly within a private war. What deepens the tension is that Charles was not present. Whether by design or circumstance, his absence left the two women to navigate a power struggle without mediation. No calming influence, no compromise brokered in real time. And when a confrontation of that magnitude unfolds without the monarch in the room, the implications are profound. It suggests either trust in resolution or avoidance of escalation. Within 24 hours of that meeting, the decision was made. Not leaked, not debated, issued. The ban from Royal Ascot was no longer a theoretical outcome, it was reality. And in that swift execution lies the clearest evidence that the meeting did not end in reconciliation. It ended in resolve. But banning a queen from Royal Ascot isn't just personal, it's political. And the political fallout may be even more explosive. Royal Ascot isn't just an event, it's a statement of continuity. A living symbol of royal authority, elegance, and unity. To be absent is to be erased from a tradition that defines British monarchy culture. And for Camilla, this isn't just about attendance, it's about legitimacy. For more than a century, Ascot has served as an unspoken declaration of who stands at the center of royal gravity. The reigning monarch does not simply attend. The monarch presides. The procession, the order, the presence in that iconic carriage line, each detail reinforces hierarchy without a single word being spoken. It is ritual as reassurance, stability as spectacle. And those who ride at the forefront are not merely guests, they are symbols of continuity itself. That is why the seating arrangement in the carriage procession carries such weight. It is not decoration. It is coded authority. Who sits beside the sovereign? Who follows? Who is visible in that opening procession broadcast across the world? The public reads those placements instinctively. They signal favor, proximity, trust. For years, Camilla's presence in that procession marked her gradual acceptance, her transition from controversy to institution. Each appearance was a step toward normalization. Now that visual affirmation has been stripped away. And the removal is louder than any speech. The Queen's public visibility at Ascot has never been trivial. It is one of the rare moments where tradition, fashion, diplomacy, and monarchy intersect seamlessly. Leaders attend. Cameras linger. Commentators analyze every interaction. To appear there is to project unity. To be excluded, especially by internal decree, creates a void that cannot be disguised as coincidence. There have been controversies before, of course. Royal appearances have occasionally sparked debate. A missed engagement. A reshuffled role. A quiet withdrawal. But a formal ban? That is unprecedented. It transforms absence into statement. It shifts speculation into certainty. And certainty in royal matters is dangerous when it signals division. International press has already begun circling the narrative. Headlines question stability. Commentators debate authority. Some frame it as a power struggle. Others call it a constitutional curiosity. But beneath the analysis lies something more fragile: perception. The monarchy survives on perception as much as protocol, and perception now whispers a troubling possibility that unity at the top is fractured. What makes this moment even more symbolic is the contrast between legacy and vulnerability. Ascot represents the monarchy at its most polished, most confident, most ceremonially intact. Yet this year, that polish will reflect tension beneath the surface. The public will watch for subtle signs: body language, positioning, expressions of solidarity or distance. Because when tradition becomes the stage for exclusion, every detail feels amplified. And perhaps the most unsettling question is not about Camilla's absence, but about what it signals internally. If a senior royal can enforce such a decision without visible reversal, what does that reveal about shifting influence within the House of Windsor? Who ultimately defines ceremonial authority? And where does that leave the sovereign himself? Because Ascot does not simply celebrate horses and heritage. It reveals hierarchy. It affirms standing. It tells a silent story about who belongs at the center of the crown's narrative. This year, that story carries an unexpected omission. And omissions at this level are never accidental. And as cameras prepare to broadcast Ascot to millions, one figure will be missing, raising a question that can no longer be ignored. Where does King Charles stand? A king. A sister. A wife, and a decision that could fracture everything. King Charles now finds himself in an impossible position: defend his queen publicly and risk alienating his most steadfast royal ally, or remain silent and allow the first public exclusion of a queen in modern Ascot history to stand. Either way, the damage may already be irreversible. For decades, Charles has relied on Princess Anne not just as family, but as a stabilizing force. She has been the steady constant in a life often overshadowed by scrutiny and personal upheaval. When storms gathered, Anne did not waver. She did not chase headlines or seek approval. She offered counsel grounded in duty and blunt honesty. That bond, forged long before Camilla's ascent to the throne beside him, carries weight that cannot be dismissed with a press statement. And yet, Camilla is not a peripheral figure in his life. She is his chosen partner, the woman who endured relentless criticism before finally stepping into the role of queen. Charles has publicly defended her time and again, reinforcing her legitimacy, standing firmly beside her when doubts swirled. Every official appearance together has been a message: she belongs here. That loyalty has been deliberate, hard-won, and deeply personal. Now those two loyalties collide. Inside the royal inner circle, tensions reportedly run high. Advisors are said to be divided, some urging the king to assert authority and reverse the ban. Others warning that undermining Anne could ignite a deeper institutional rift. This is not simply a disagreement over attendance. It is a test of hierarchy. If Charles overrules Anne, he risks signaling instability within the senior ranks. If he does nothing, he risks appearing distant from his own queen. There have been whispers that Charles sought compromise in private, that he encouraged a solution preserving dignity on both sides. Perhaps a modified appearance, perhaps a delayed reconciliation. But Anne, steadfast and immovable, reportedly refused to rescind the ban. Her position was clear. Her line had been drawn. And in that refusal lies the quiet assertion that even a king must navigate internal boundaries carefully. The emotional toll on Charles cannot be underestimated. He has spent a lifetime balancing expectation and affection, duty and desire. Now he stands at the center of a conflict that forces him to choose between two pillars of his personal and public world. The weight of that choice is immense. Every silence is interpreted, every gesture analyzed. Even restraint becomes a statement. This moment exposes the monarchy's delicate power balance in a way few events ever have. The crown is often portrayed as singular, unified, unquestionable. But within its walls, influence flows through relationships, history, and loyalty. Anne's decision suggests strength beyond ceremonial rank. Charles's hesitation suggests awareness of that strength. and Camilla's position hangs in that fragile space between public validation and private dispute. The contrast is striking. A king who fought for love now watches that love tested by legacy. A sister who protected the institution now challenges its present direction. A queen who finally secured her place now finds that place contested at one of the monarchy's most symbolic stages. It is success shadowed by suffering, authority wrapped in uncertainty. And perhaps the most revealing detail is not what Charles has said, but what he has not. His silence stretches, heavy and deliberate. It suggests calculation but also conflict. Because whatever decision he ultimately makes or avoids making will shape not just Ascot, but the internal architecture of royal power itself. Yet the king's hesitation may reveal something deeper, a shifting power structure inside the House of Windsor itself. For decades, Princess Anne operated in the background, steady, disciplined, underestimated. But today's decision suggests something extraordinary. She may hold more influence than anyone publicly acknowledged. And if Ascot marks the first open assertion of that power, what does it mean for the future of the monarchy? Anne has never chased the spotlight. She built her reputation on endurance, not applause. While others navigated public adoration and controversy, she focused on duty with almost relentless consistency. Engagement after engagement. Responsibility without complaint. That quiet resilience earned her something far more valuable than headlines' credibility. Within palace walls, credibility becomes currency. And Anne has accumulated it for decades. Her reputation for integrity is not decorative. It is foundational. Staff trust her because she does not bend easily. Senior advisors respect her because she prioritizes structure over sentiment. In moments of uncertainty, her voice carries weight precisely because it is rarely dramatic. That is why this ban feels seismic. When someone so measured makes a move this bold, it signals calculation, not impulse. Public reaction has only intensified that perception. Many see her firmness as strength, even protection. In an era where the monarchy often appears fragile under scrutiny, Anne's decisiveness feels stabilizing to some observers. Social discussions, commentary panels, even longtime royal watchers have begun framing her as the embodiment of institutional backbone. That groundswell of quiet support reinforces her position. Influence expands when authority is perceived as justified. There are also whispers of subtle alignment with Prince William. Nothing overt, nothing confirmed. But body language at recent engagements, shared priorities around tradition, and a similar tone regarding modern reforms have sparked speculation. If Anne and William share philosophical ground on safeguarding protocol, that alignment could reshape the monarchy's internal direction. A seasoned guardian and a future king standing closer in principle than many assumed. This hints at a generational divide inside the palace, not defined by age alone but by ideology. On one side, a vision of the monarchy carefully adapting to survive. On the other, a conviction that adaptation must never dilute identity. Camilla's approach has often leaned toward evolution. Anne's stance leans toward preservation. When those philosophies clash, the outcome is not merely personal, it becomes structural. Since the ban, subtle shifts have reportedly taken place. Staff members once closely associated with Camilla's ceremonial planning are said to be treading carefully, recalibrating loyalties without making it obvious. In institutions like this, allegiance is rarely declared. It is signaled through access, consultation, proximity. Even small changes in those patterns can reveal larger currents moving beneath the surface. Camilla's ceremonial space appears to be narrowing, at least for now. Not erased, but constrained. And in royal dynamics, temporary limitations can become lasting precedents if not challenged swiftly. That possibility fuels speculation about future protocol adjustments. Will Ascot authority be formally clarified? Will new boundaries be drawn between the Queen's office and other senior royals? Or has Anne's action already established an unspoken rule that others will hesitate to test? The contrast is striking. For years, Anne was perceived as secondary in public narrative, reliable but peripheral. Now she stands at the center of a decision that may redefine internal power. It is a reminder that true authority does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it observes. And when it finally moves, it reshapes the landscape in ways no one anticipated. But perhaps the most revealing detail isn't the ban itself, it's what Camilla did immediately afterward. No statement. No protest. No visible outrage. Instead, silence. And sometimes, silence is the loudest response of all. Insiders claim Camilla's reaction wasn't explosive, it was calculated. And what she's planning next may redefine this conflict entirely. In the hours following the ban, there was no emotional rebuttal, no hurried clarification from her office. The usual rhythm of royal communications slowed to an almost deliberate pause. Invitations that had once been quietly accepted were now declined without explanation. Private gatherings postponed. Long-standing social commitments suddenly under review. To outsiders, it looked restrained. To those who understand palace dynamics, it looked strategic. Camilla has spent years mastering the art of endurance. She knows that public confrontation rarely favors the accused. Instead of reacting impulsively, she appears to be repositioning. By withdrawing slightly from view, she shifts attention. Absence creates curiosity. Curiosity creates speculation. And speculation, when carefully fed, can alter the narrative without a single official statement being issued. There are murmurs of strategic briefings taking place behind the scenes. Nothing direct. Nothing traceable. But certain sympathetic commentators have begun framing the ban as excessive, even destabilizing. The language feels measured, almost rehearsed. Words like unity, dignity, and support for the king are quietly circulating. It suggests coordination. Not retaliation, but preparation. Supporters within her circle are said to be urging visible solidarity. Appear beside Charles. Attend other high-profile engagements. Reinforce the image of partnership at every opportunity. The message would be subtle but clear: the Queen remains at the sovereign's side. Yet Camilla has not rushed into that spotlight. Instead, she is choosing moments carefully, almost sparingly, as if conserving capital for something larger. Behind closed doors, a private meeting with Charles was reportedly requested. Not to demand reversal, but to clarify direction. That distinction matters. A demand would escalate tension. A clarification implies shared strategy. What was said in that meeting remains tightly guarded, but sources suggest it was less about Ascot and more about precedent. If one ceremonial exclusion can occur, what prevents another? Within her inner circle, frustration is reportedly building. Loyal aides who worked tirelessly to secure her public standing now see that standing challenged. They understand how fragile perception can be. They know that power unchallenged solidifies, but power tested must respond eventually. Patience has limits. And patience, in this case, feels deliberate but temporary. The possibility of escalation hangs quietly in the air. Not through open defiance, but through timing. A carefully chosen public appearance. A high-profile charitable announcement. A symbolic gesture of unity with Charles that forces interpretation. Camilla has learned that influence does not always require volume. Sometimes it requires endurance and precision. The contrast is stark. Princess Anne's move was swift and definitive. Camilla's response is slow and deliberate. One draws a line, the other studies it. And in that difference lies the tension now tightening around the monarchy's inner circle. Because silence is rarely surrender. Often it is calculation waiting for the right moment. Because when royal disputes move from whispers to public spectacle, history teaches us one thing: they rarely end quietly. This isn't just about Royal Ascot. It's about authority, loyalty, identity. For the first time in living memory, the royal family's internal divisions have pierced through their ceremonial armor. Princess Anne's ban may seem like a single decision, but it has exposed a question that could shape the monarchy's future. Who truly holds power behind the crown? Across the country, reaction has split cleanly down the middle. Some see Anne's action as a courageous defense of tradition, a line drawn to protect the institution from gradual dilution. Others view it as an alarming display of internal discord, a sign that unity at the highest level may be more fragile than the public was led to believe. Conversations that once circled politely around fashion and pageantry now circle something heavier: control. Even constitutional whispers have begun to surface. Not in formal debates, not in official chambers, but in careful commentary. What authority does a senior royal hold in ceremonial exclusions? Where does advisory power end and sovereign power begin? These questions may never reach public documentation, yet their mere existence hints at something profound. When protocol becomes contested territory, it reveals that influence is not always defined solely by title. The monarchy survives on trust, on the belief that beneath its grandeur lies cohesion. That cohesion now feels tested. The image of seamless continuity has been replaced with speculation about internal fractures. And once doubt enters the narrative, it is difficult to contain. Public faith does not collapse overnight. It erodes quietly, through moments that challenge perception. This may be one of those moments. Princess Anne remains unwavering. There has been no retreat, no apology, no softening of tone. Her silence carries conviction. To her supporters, that firmness embodies stability. To her critics, it signals rigidity. But regardless of interpretation, her stance has reshaped the dynamic inside the palace. She has demonstrated that influence can be exercised decisively, even when the implications are monumental. King Charles now stands at a crossroads that extends beyond Ascot. His choice whether to affirm, reverse, or sidestep the ban will echo far beyond this single event. It will define how authority flows within the royal structure. It will reveal whether unity is preserved through alignment or compromise. And it will shape how history remembers this turning point. Camilla's position remains uncertain, balanced between resilience and vulnerability. She has fought for acceptance, endured criticism, and finally secured her place beside the king. Now that place feels unsettled, not removed but questioned. The tension between validation and doubt hovers around her role, creating an atmosphere thick with anticipation. There is still the possibility of reconciliation, quiet dialogue, strategic appearances, a gradual restoration of harmony. But there is also the risk of something more lasting, a subtle but permanent shift in internal power that redefines relationships within the House of Windsor. The monarchy has survived wars, scandals, abdications. Yet its greatest challenges often arise not from outside pressure, but from within. What makes this moment so powerful is the contrast. A grand tradition built on unity now shadowed by division. A family bound by duty now tested by authority. Success intertwined with strain. Legacy confronting modern reality. And beneath it all, the haunting question remains unanswered. Who ultimately steers the crown when loyalties collide? And as Royal Ascot approaches without one of its most prominent figures, the world will be watching not just for fashion or tradition, but for signs of a royal reckoning still unfolding. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in next one.